Hello and welcome to a very special episode of the Super Show because, fellas, we made it all the way to 69, baby.
Ooh-wee.
Hell yeah.
Incredible.
As always, I'm joined by my partners in crime and my sexual partners, Alex Jones and Jamie McJamie. How are you doing, fellas?
Good.
Sure, I might prefer that name to my actual name. Easier to
Jamie
say,
McJamie.
easier to spell. Yeah, it would raise a
Jamie
few
McJamie.
eyebrows, but I think people would be more impressed than anything else.
Interesting.
That
I
is
think
a good
we should do an online petition and just petition the government actually to make
Wow.
everyone who is of Scottish heritage to be McJamie.
Oh, I thought you were
We
just
should
going to
have
say Mook and then their first name, whatever their
Nah,
their first name.
just all Jamies.
Oh, see, I was going to say we should have a stretch goal where if we get to a certain level, Jamie has to legally change his name to Jamie McJamie.
Okay, I'll give you two offers. Would you rather a stretch goal where I have to legally change my name or a stretch goal where I get a tattoo of the patrons choosing?
Oh, what about a tattoo
Oh.
of the patrons?
I mean, yeah, sure. Do you know what? Like, if we set the stretch goal at the right amount, I would do both of those things. I'd be more hesitant to change my name. I think that might get me in trouble with some people.
Really, you'd rather have a tattoo of the patrons choosing? You are a madman. I just
Well,
changed my
again,
name.
if we were very careful about where it was and what it couldn't be, I'd rather if I had a fucking
It's going to be
butt cheek
Peaswad on
tattoo,
your testicles.
First of all, I don't think anyone does testicle tattoos. Let's be real. But if I had Peacewad's face on my butt cheek, that's something my parents will never know for the rest of my life. But when I had
You
the
said
day
that.
go on.
I immediately, mate, I've got it. It immediately came to my mind, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Oh, okay, maybe not. Chris might remember it. There was a poster when I was like a teenager, right? And it was all of the like the biggest rappers. So you had like Tupac, Snoop, like I can't even think of who it was at the time. It was like pre-Eminem era, even like he wouldn't have even been in it.
Death
And
Row
it-
style.
Yeah, and it was all of them in kind of like black and white, all doing things that were typical for them. So there was a very typical picture, but they were all sort of like in a collage together. And I just love the idea of recreating that, but with Patreon's faces. So we keep what they're doing, but we have like Snoop with the blunt, we like is Chris. So we do that,
Right.
but with all the Patreons. That would be
That's cool.
And then-
I like that.
And
on
you get
James'
that
back.
tattoo. Yeah, you know, like the Yakuza get the big dragons on their back. And then
Yeah,
they
I like
rip
it.
off their shirt. And see, that again, that is something that I could keep secret, could keep quiet from the majority of people. The day I have to go to one of my parents and explain, hey, you know the name that I inherited and that you chose for me and that I could have theoretically passed on to later generations, I've changed it.
Yeah, but you just changed it to the name that they gave you anyway.
Kind of, but then also, I don't know, there's some weird heritage shit. I don't really know much about it. I'm sure some Scottish people somewhere would be vaguely offended.
Yeah, your clan will disown you.
Yeah, I won't be allowed to wear
possible.
the tartan anymore or something. It's like, I've never even seen a kilt.
Well, anyway, fellas, look, it's episode 69. We have to do something different, and we are going to do something different, okay? Something a little bit interesting. What we're going to do today is not cover the news, because you know what? Fuck the news is what I say. Fuck it.
there you go.
But yeah, it's a special episode. We are going to perform for your
A skit.
oral pleasure. That's oral, not oral.
Wow. People
Yeah,
are
we're going to do, basically, we're going to catch up on games. We're going to do some comments, but then we're just going to freestyle it. We're just going to do basically what we do for our Patreon exclusive podcast, Full Frontal. So I think that's available to $5 and up as a pledge, and you get access to that whole back catalog and a couple of other juicy little tidbits. But yeah, fellas, I think, you know what, let's just start with the patrons, because we spoke about stretch goals, which is always good, and you know we're always looking for stretch goals, so send them through if you have them. But yeah, so if you want to support the show, because we are 100% funded by Patreon, then head on over to patreon.com/supershow. And some people have done that already, and we really, really love them. So much so that Jamie is going to get a tattoo of their names down his gam, you know, just the right thigh, the inner thigh. So prepare yourselves, Jamie. This is what's going to be scrawled on your loins, all right?
Okay, hit me with it.
I'm talking about Anthony Muncie, Aaron Cameron, Athletic Gravy, Hacksaw Book Reed, Jesper Camdahl Nielsen, Javela Cujo, Leo Merger, Lonnie Thompson, Magic Grits, Mindful Pig, Nathan Piers, Pastors Guild, Scary Omen, Starfall Kid, Zach Cream, and then These are what I've already got tattooed on my scrot. Shell Shock, Manuel Guerrero, Peaswad, and the Dude Abides. Those are the big fellas. Those are the guys that are really keeping the lights on and keeping us coming back week in, week out. Blood in, blood out, some would say, because we're all family once you join the Super Show Patreon. You can never leave. It's
Hotel California style.
Exactly.
Technically, you can leave.
No.
People have.
No leaving. No
Just
leaving.
check the patron.
Shut up. But yeah.
Did they leave, or are they chopped up in a freezer somewhere, Jamie?
Exactly.
Well, knowing you, Jonesy, what's the difference?
Guess what we're having for barbecue tomorrow?
Let me tell you guys.
Oh, God.
I'm just going to say one word. Omerta.
Omerta. Should that ring a bell?
Omerta. Omerta. That's the
This
code,
isn't-
brother. That's the mafia code. You can never leave.
Omerta. I've never heard that
That
before.
means death, doesn't it?
I haven't watched the right movies, clearly.
You played Mafia 1? There's literally
Yes, I
a whole
did.
chapter of the game called Omerta. All right, anyway.
Because I remember that game being much.
podcast.
That game was much more. Oh my God, we gotta kill that guy, rather than Il Muerto.
All right, look, before we kind of get into, we're going to talk about what we've been doing the past week, leading up to this glorious 69. And we're going to talk about some, whatever comes into our minds at the stage after that. But before we do that, fellas, I do want to say, Jonesy, last week we had Crispy Court, where I had to defend the honor of my favorite packet of crisps.
You have. If you're looking for a further ruling, because I was going to chow down and have some of those, I have not been able to find any of those crisps. So I'm going to have to try extra hard and maybe order some online. Because,
I will send some to you, perhaps tomorrow. But yeah, because we got to get down to the bottom of this. But
I did look for them. I went shopping. I had a look and I couldn't find them.
Yeah, not easy to find that particular flavor.
Right.
Probably because I've been buying them all.
You guys also live, because where you live in London, you have it seems like you have magical shops all over the place that sell all this crazy stuff.
Corner shops, dude. They've got all these imports. It's madness.
But we don't have that here. We have a couple of big supermarkets that sell bog standard, boring shit. Do you know how difficult it is for me to buy blue cheese dip? I can't get it anywhere.
As difficult as it should be, which is impossible.
It should be
human?
easy. Everywhere just sells this. Supermarkets do my head in. They're so they're such basic bitches when it comes to what they sell. You can only get a really limited range of things.
No, it's because you're just some random guy that all of a sudden has decided to become obsessed with American cuisine and specifically buffalo wings or whatever they're called. And now the idea that UK supermarkets don't hold blue cheese dip is offensive.
No, but they did. This is the thing. They did until really recently. Sainsbury's sold Mary Berry's blue cheese dressing.
Mary Berry's blue cheese dressing. I would not touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Shout out to Mary, because that stuff is lovely. But then they stopped doing that one. They stopped selling it in my local one, and they now have John Newman's. That's the only one they do. Blue cheese
Newman's Own.
Newman's
Wait,
Own. And
isn't he a singer?
No, he's an actor.
I don't know. But it's friggin' gross. It doesn't taste like blue cheese. It's
Paul
rubbish.
Newman, isn't it? It's Paul Newman.
The actor's Paul Newman. No, the sauce is called, I think it's called John Newman.
No, it's
blue
Newman.
cheese.
Newman's Own is Paul Newman's thing, and the whole thing is...
Was it his thing?
Yeah, it's a not-for-profit sauce company. It's kind of
Sort your blue cheese out, Paul. It tastes like crap. Speak to Mary.
I'd imagine I've just gotten this completely wrong. I'm sure.
Maybe, no, you probably sounds like you might be
I'm
right.
gonna
Again,
check it right now.
it makes more sense than Mary Berry.
Sounds like they're not trying to make a profit of how crap it is.
Yeah, Newman's Own is a food company founded by actor Paul Newman and author A.E. Hochner in 1982. The company donates 100% of its after-tax profits to the Newman's Own Foundation, a private non-profit foundation which in turn supports various educational and charitable organizations.
Well, Mary Berry's, I'm looking it up. It's got bad reviews, but I'm telling you, it tastes much better. Oh, no, okay, I've found some. It's got good reviews as well. Amazon give it good reviews. Tesco, but what do Tesco people know? They don't know anything.
Wow. Just called out
I'm waiting
UK
for
viewership.
Mary Berry to start a new show, the Great British Wing Bake Off or something like that.
Oh, yes, Mary.
If they made a wing
Mary
show.
Berry's winging it.
Before she pops her clogs, She can bust out some wings. No. So the American stuff, Jamie's actually all right. The thing I struggle with, like food wise, is more if you want to go, especially if you want to go east. If you want to make some authentic like Asian cuisine, it's really tough to get.
Oh, see, no, bro. What you need to do is you need to move to London, where the supermarkets have whole aisles for this stuff because there's the population's so big out over here, down here.
It's great actually because all the different kind of dishes that we try and make with all the ingredients is cool.
Yeah. I don't think I've eaten meat that hasn't been halal for about a decade at this stage.
I guess there's quite a few Polish people in this area, so we got quite a few Polish shops pop up, and that's quality, because I don't know if you've had it. It sounds rude. Polish sausage.
They love sausage.
It tastes great.
They love the
get
sausage.
yourself some Polish sausage. It's so good.
A little bit of blue cheese dip on the end there. Quality.
That would look filth, but okay.
If the thing that comes out the end of your sausage looks or smells like blue cheese, Chris, you need to talk to your doctor.
I'd love if that was an infomercial. If your semen smells or tastes like blue cheese sauce, visit your GP now.
You know the medical and like pharmaceutical adverts they somehow run all the time in the US, but they talk really quickly at the end.
Oh
Side effects may include semen looking or smelling like blue cheese dip. Consult your doctor.
Is that the one where like side effects may include death?
Yeah,
literally.
That's quite
that's so bizarre.
But fellas, back to the crispy court. Okay, so we'll get your verdict on it, Jonesy, probably next week. I will send some over this week, probably tomorrow, like I said. But yeah, we got a pretty nice resounding approval rating for that segment, and lots of people have asked us to bring it back. So we've got to put our thinking hats on. I'm just going to read out a few comments here, okay? Usually we only do one comment of the week, but I've just chosen 3 at random. But below average Kiplet said, Crispy Court needs to be a recurring 20 to 30 minute segment of the podcast.
Wow.
Hit all the flavors, all the brands, all hail the algorithm. Wow.
I like it.
I just don't think it's very algorithmic friendly. But there we go. Then Bendy Benz said, or chants, Crispy Court, Crispy Court, Crispy Court. Also, it is Law and Order. It's just an aside because we were thinking about where that.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And it's just yes to another to show. All right, yeah, whatever. Fucking. Then Ginger Lou says, Crispy Court had me in bits. Please continue doing it. Not necessarily over crisps, but can be other food or drink items or whatever other random trash opinions you have. Great pod, boys. Let's win the algorithm.
Hell yeah.
So I think it's a good idea to kind of like expand it. A bit of a peek behind the curtain, I guess, because sometimes this is what we do in the full frontals as well. We kind of take a trip down memory lane during the ATG days. But at the early days of ATG, when we were trying to come up with different strands and ideas, one of them was actually, I mean, for lack of a better word, a Crispy Court kind of strand where we take a game or something with some kind of a controversial opinion, or not even necessarily a controversial opinion, and one person would have to argue for, the other person would have to argue against, and there would be a judge. And I think the idea was we just rotate judge duties.
Yeah, it was something like that, wasn't it? But it was much more of a format. But I like the idea of doing it around, especially in this sort of the remote way that we have to work at the moment. It is quite funny doing it with food and stuff because it's something that we can try independently and then come together to talk trash about. Especially if there are some strong opinions.
Yeah, it would be really cool. I mean, not that we would do this, but if we did have that PO box, like we mentioned, don't send the cheesecake or the blue cheese sauce. But it would be really funny if like. We had a PO box. People could send us things, and we have to try them, and then like give them like a judgment. You know, yes, it's good. No, it's not.
Oh, see, I love the idea of that. Like, but then I suppose it would be killer to be the judge. Some weeks you'd want to try the thing, and you'd be like, "Oh, I don't want to be." Although I guess maybe one of us just sits it out, lets the other 2 thrash it out, and then their vote is the deciding one after the fact. So let's say it's like a Butterfinger chocolate. Is it? I don't know if it's a chocolate bar, but candy bar. Yeah. So like 2 people try it. One sits it out.
Butterfingers when you put butter on your fingers and you stick.
Slightly different thing. This is.
Sorry.
And then the third person waits and then decides after all the arguments.
I like it. I think that's cool. The problem with that, though, I guess the pitfall of such a thing is if we had to all enjoy the same thing. Would that be entertaining? Because really, it's the back and forth argument, right?
Yeah,
that's
but
what it's all about.
But then you also in courtrooms you get lawyers who are have to defend rapists and paedophiles. They don't want to do it, but they have to.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
so
also,
one's the prosecutor,
being a lawyer
and one's the defense. I like
exactly.
It. And maybe
so
it's
being
predefined roles.
Yeah, being a lawyer isn't about agreeing or liking the side of the case you have to fight. It's about finding the best outcome for your client, which in this case are those disgusting crisps.
They're not disgusting. Go fuck yourself.
I like I like the idea that if we all agreed on something, then that's good, right? If we all disagreed, then that's good because it's obvious.
Nah,
But
Jonesy.
then that just turns into a review, dude. It's like, yes, we give these 3 thumbs up, like
Jonesy. Yeah,
That's true. That's very
you're
true.
You're not thinking about the key ingredient in all of this: content. We need to argue.
Well, I'm assuming that it'll be rare that we all agree because let's be honest, we usually argue about most things. So.
Right, exactly. I think that's probably one of the reasons why so many of our conversations you could probably go back to them and put them in a court format almost incidentally because it's 2 sides of an argument and a fence sitter every single time.
Yeah.
I'm literally right now. I'm looking up how much it is to set up a PO box.
Wow,
Oh God,
it's not that much.
Yeah,
But it's
fair enough.
It's what Jamie said. It's like because it's like we're fucking William Wallace and we're scattered on the 4 corners of of England, But yeah, it would be interesting. It would be interesting to say the least. But moving on from the crispy court, we'll put our thinking caps on and see how we can kind of incorporate it going forward. I do like these kind of tangential discussions that we're having, and that's kind of why I wanted to have one of these as a special for that special number 69. But let's leave all that aside. I want to hear what you guys have been up to.
Oh, can I be totally honest?
Because this is my rock, all right? This is like, if I don't have good gaming weeks, I can live vicariously through you. If I do have good gaming weeks, then I can just kind of be like, hey guys, look at me. I'm a dad at games, so let's fucking go.
Yeah,
but yeah, go on, Jamie, seeing as you you perked up a bit.
So I perked up because I kind of fucked up, which is that I didn't consider, this week being episode 69 and what that would entail. And if anything, I might have done too much gaming. And so there's like fucking 7 things that I could talk about right now. Like I finished 2 games in the course of the last week that one of which I'd never even mentioned before. But do you know what? I'm going to talk about the things that are most pressing, like 2 things that are kind of on my mind. One of them, because, I'm kind of proud of myself. Actually, this one might not be what you expect, because let me tell you, Chris, this took cojones. I had to look myself in the mirror, I had to psych myself up, I had to do a line of coke, and really brace myself, because I went into the world of Resident Evil 8 this week.
Oh, right, the demo, the time demo.
Yeah, well, because, have you guys seen how they're doing this fucking demo?
30 minutes.
No.
Oh, bro, I don't know what they smoke in Japan.
But they did that on Resident Evil 2 remake.
But no, this is even crazier. So basically, Resident Evil 8 is getting a gameplay demo. Great. Yeah. It's an hour long, and you can only play it in a 24-hour period. Great. This is for anyone listening, this is in a week's time or so.
Yeah.
But they also signed a deal with PlayStation that gave PlayStation players early access to the demo. So you think, oh, great. Then on a different day, we can play it for an hour, right? No. For the PlayStation players, they split the demo in half into 2 half-an-hour cap segments on 2 separate days that were only playable for 8 hours each.
Oh, what?
So basically, earlier this week, there was an 8-hour window, an 8-hour period of time where you could play a 30-minute time cap segment of Resident Evil 8 that represents 50% of the hour-long demo that will be available for everyone for a 24-hour period in about a week's time.
So if you chose not to do the PlayStation 30-minute split thing, can you do the hour-long one?
Yeah. It's not opt-in or opt-out. It's just a bonus. Right. So no one's missed anything yet. It's just...
So it remembers how much time you played, basically.
No, they're all split up.
That's fucking mental. That is crazy. Why don't you just have the demo?
That's so pointless.
Time capping a demo, I kind of get, and like you said, Chris, they've totally done it before. But the fact that half an hour long demo I could play was playable in an 8-hour window, and then it closed.
Yeah,
that's something someone didn't want to do. Do you know what I mean? That's where someone said, we're going to do this. And then someone's made a deal with someone at the company, PR people have got together, and the people who are responsible for actually putting it out there were like, we don't want to do this. And so they've tried to, it's like when someone does you a favor, but they do it in such a shitty way that you're kind of like,
But
I don't think they wanted to do
But I
that.
think Jamie's right. Like, there must be smoking something up there in Japan, because they did the
I
same
swear,
thing with,
I swear,
they did the same
Japanese
thing with
developers do
Mario,
this,
right?
yeah.
Where they're like, oh yeah, it's, Super Mario 3D All Stars. There we go. You can only buy it up until the end of March, and then that's it. It's gone forever.
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Yeah,
Weird.
they do some strange.
Yeah. But okay, I mean, so I'm going to give a bit of a disclosure here. I have not been following the Resident Evil 8 stuff other than the trailers. I haven't been,
Right.
and I've skipped the gameplay trailers.
Did you play? Was it not? What was it called? Not Miranda. Was it Miranda?
Oh,
Matilda?
something like that.
Oh.
Yeah, something like that.
I didn't do
It
any
was
of that.
it was
I'm
the
avoiding
walk around the
gameplay.
castle.
I'm
demo.
avoiding the
Walk around.
gameplay.
I did
Okay.
see. I quite liked the walk around because I knew that there wasn't sort of like actual gameplay, as in didn't have to actually fight anything. It was more experiential, and I quite like that idea. I'm not big on the Resident Evil gameplay side of it. Like, I don't like scary games as it is, so I think I'm going to give
Fellas.
Resident Evil a miss. But
Fellas, no, we're doing it together.
I think
I
we
do
might have
it
to.
together.
think we
I
might
do it
have
for
to.
for a thing. I do it, but I'm not playing it on my own, sat here in the
Is
semi
it,
darkness.
hold on. Is this going to be me fucking on the controller again, and you two just kind of cowering
No, so-
over my shoulders?
This is what I kind of wanted to talk about. Like, I finished like the component of. You guys remember the last time we streamed Resident Evil 7? I started with the controller in my hands on one of the streams and had to give it to Chris because I couldn't go through a door. I was like, I don't want to. I'm not walking through it. I'm not pushing forward in the analog stick, and I had to hand the controller off to Chris. But I finished this demo, and the reason is, as we all kind of have known about for months now, if not years, I don't even remember. This is a very Resident Evil 4 inspired Resident Evil game.
Right, yeah.
They're still trying to balance some of the Resident Evil 7 survival horror elements. So from what I gather, the castle segment of the game, which I didn't play, but it will be the second half of this hour-long demo, is where you're going to get stalked by the 9-foot-tall vampire lady in a very, Resident Evil 7 style way. But this bit that I did was like the village was a little bit more explore. Like, you could explore it, you could find stuff, you could pick stuff up.
Yeah.
Obviously. And there were proper like Resident Evil 4 vibes, and everything felt more geared towards combat being better. So like weapon swapping was like Call of Duty speed. Like, I don't know what Ethan has been doing between games, but when you switch to your pistol to the shotgun, the dude's like, and it's like, it just comes out of nowhere. Little things
weird.
like, when there are those boxes that you have to break with a knife.
Yeah.
You don't have to swap to your knife and then slash them now. You just kind of put X on them and he just does a quick slash.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Quality of life.
Reload speeds are much faster. So some of it's quality of life, yeah, but others make it feel like, hey, there are going to be sequences of this game where like they're far more combat oriented.
Yeah,
that's why there's a large variety of weapons. There's weapon upgrades now and stuff like that.
So-
in a much more obvious way.
So you're feeling a lot more confident with the gameplay on this one, yeah?
Just because I felt more empowered. Like,
Well, we'll hear what you have to say once you do the castle thing.
right, bro. The castle I look at and I'm like, I'm not going in.
But it is kind of strange, right? Because, okay, so you're being chased by this 9-foot woman. Wouldn't it be a lot scarier, a lot creepier to be chased by a 3-foot woman? Because a 9-foot woman, obviously you're going to see where she's coming from.
Well,
But a 3-foot woman, she's
without
gonna be like,
spoiling too much, because I know you said you haven't seen trailers. I think, obviously, we've seen a lot of this 9-foot woman, but when it comes to the entire cast of characters that make up the
like
enemies
her
in this game,
daughters and shit.
you might get your hankering for midgets.
It's not a hankering for midgets. I'm just saying that, like, if something is stalking you and it's going to be scary,
There's-
something that you can see from like fucking a mile away is probably less scary
Nah,
than
bullshit. not in like a closed corridor, like creepy castle where it's like big arms can come around the doors and stuff. Like, nah, a little midget coming at you that you could kick away I don't think is anywhere near as scary as some horrendous giant, like, dragging itself down
Well,
the corridors.
I guess it's the whole like one horse-sized duck kind of question, right? It's a similar kind of thing.
If you, Chris, can
Which
you see
better?
the chat in Discord?
Yes, sir.
You see that picture I just posted?
Oh, that's quality. You're gonna
So there's-
you're gonna shit yourself when that comes out.
So for anyone wondering, it's like this kind of like 3-foot, almost like doll. It looks like a doll in like a wedding dress, but it's like a child.
You're gonna.
It's like one of those
what's gonna
creepy
happen?
baby dolls that people get. Who
Jamie's gonna have like
middle-aged women buy.
Yeah, Jamie's gonna have the diarrhea squirts when he sees that thing.
Maybe
It's gonna flush all the way down your gene leg.
That's why I don't want to admit outright confidence in my Resident Evil 8 compatibility just yet, but I felt empowered enough that that I could play through this demo. And also there's a lot more NPC stuff going on, and Ethan talks a lot more. So in this village, there are people that live there, and there's kind of this culty thing being hinted at. So it's not just... Right. It's a weird mishmash of ideas where there are like human NPCs, so immediately you're having far more human conversations, interactions than you ever did in 7, but also there are giant vampire women, obviously. They're the vampire women's like daughters who can turn into flies, I think. There's like lichens and werewolves and shit like that.
Yeah, because so isn't like Chris Redfield meant to be like a werewolf or some shit in this
one?
one?
Like Chris Redfield's in it, and like I think he's the bad guy, but probably not, mate. There's a lot going on. It seems interesting, and it's also pretty. It's all quite pretty on the PS5.
Man, it loads so quick, doesn't it? Like 2 seconds or something.
2 second load times, yeah.
It's like 49 seconds on PS4.
Is it a bit slippery slope though? Because it seems like they went in a really good direction with like 7 and how it was slower and more scary, and it sort of pulled away from where Resident Evil had been going, which was kind of the bad vibe, almost going like, if it had kept going where it was, it could have been like a zombie shooter type of game. But then if they go back
that's what it did become.
We're working on the combat, and then it's like, oh, you can swap weapons more quickly. You can melee. It's almost like a COD game. I don't know. In my mind, it's almost like it's the same thing happening again.
I didn't mean to say it was like COD. It's still very much like Resident Evil.
But do you see it going that way? Do you see it becoming?
I think they're looking at what happened to the lineage of Resident Evil the last time they established a successful entry point for the series, right? Which was that, generally speaking, they managed to transition into a more action-oriented survival horror approach, and it was very well received. And I just think they're trying to work elements of that game design into the rejuvenated series slightly earlier, rather than doing another Resident Evil game that's just a pure tense survival horror experience. I think there still will be, and I think the kind of semi-open world thing that they're going for, with the village being the connective tissue between these different areas, allows them the flexibility to say, hey, when you're in the castle, you're going to be chased by Lady Dimitrescu and you can't kill her. There's your Baker House kind of vibes. But also, when you're walking around in the village, like lichens are going to come after you, and you're going to be able to kill them, and it's going to be more Leon Kennedy in the Village style Resident Evil 4 shit.
Speaking of... Sorry, Jez, go ahead.
I was going to say, because that's the thing that always is the reality of those things that I always worry about. So you say like you got a more combat-oriented game, but you can't kill the main villain because obviously you can't. So then you say, okay, fine. So in the castle you can't kill her, but in the town you've got these combat abilities. Therefore, you need characters that are killable. So then you start to fill them with cannon fodder because you're like, we need people to kill. And I feel like sometimes games go in a weird route where they're trying to be too many. Do you know what I mean? They're trying to appeal to too many, and then they get messy, and then they reboot the game and call it Resident Evil again.
7 did that too, where all of a sudden you're in this house in the basement. It's like, hey, we're going to make weird monsters out of sewage and poo now, and you're just going to kill them.
But hold on, because there were only maybe I don't know, 12 of those enemies down there.
But there was still what Jonesy was talking about, which was we need to give you people to kill.
Yeah.
And I
think it's fine. I
think lichens are a pretty cool thing as well, and they can ride horses, and I don't know. There's some cool stuff going on in this game. It just seems like a load of ideas stuck together, just not necessarily in a bad way, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you ever think it'd be a cool concept if you could play as the NPC? Obviously, that's a contradiction in terms, but do you know what I mean? If other people could play as the game characters.
Yeah, so, there was a game that came out. It was called Fallout 76.
No, not like that.
That's what it was. That's what it was. Todd Howard went on stage and said, "There are no NPCs. You are the NPC if you want to be. You can just stand there selling herbs." Yeah,
but not like that.
No,
not like
that.
No,
thanks. It's all right.
I'm good. Like this.
Not
like that. Like if you could be a werewolf on a horse ride, and you've got a very limited thing to do. Do you know what I always thought was really cool? And I know people probably think this was shit, but when you could play as, was it Watch Dogs 1, where you had the app? And you could play against the player, and you could make like street things pop, the barriers pop up in the street, and you could change traffic lights and try and mess with them.
Yeah, but
I still enjoy playing that app. I thought that was really cool.
Don't talk to me about that, because I'm still bitter about when they announced The Division, and the whole idea was like, oh, you can play with the squad, and if your friend doesn't have a console or a PC, don't worry, he'll play on his tablet, and he could play as a drone.
He could be the drone,
and I was like, that's such a cool fucking idea, and it never happened, because
liars.
The Division was shit. Anyway, but speaking of Resident Evil 4, did you see that I was right, they did re-release it, or are re-releasing it, just in a bit of a weird way. Not the remaster, but in VR. Oh my
yeah,
God. Wow.
Oculus Quest 2 style. That looks like they've done a decent job.
It does look like a decent job. It'll be fair. I think I know loads of people are really happy about that and happy about the game and seeing it in a new perspective. But
they need to sort out the movement, man. VR, come on, innovate. We need some movement stuff.
Innovate.
We don't just want more games. We need how are you moving around?
I think you should take up the mantle, Jonesy. I think you should.
I've thought of it. I've thought of so many ways of doing it.
He's
none are very
He's
good.
cracked the code.
None are very good. No,
any angel investors in the chat, just reach out.
It's so fucking difficult. It's so tricky to try and think of a way of doing it as well, because you've got such limited space, and all the things that have come out so far are like, it's an omnidirectional treadmill that you're going to put in your living room that has a like a waist support belt on it. And you're like, no one is buying that. That's like,
no, you know what it is? It's like I would buy it if I had my own like VR dungeon and I had the time and the patience and the money, because they're like, this thing is cool. Don't worry about it. It looks a bit flimsy, but it costs $5,000. It's like, I think I'll pass on that one.
I know what you mean.
Anyway, what else have you been playing?
Just a quick one. I'll say that at the time of recording, we are halfway through the the most prolonged, overextended live event in free-to-play battle royale history. With the destruction of Verdansk in Call of Duty Warzone, which again at the time recorded started last night and has yet to finish. Let me clarify. Actually, at the time of recording, Verdansk has been blown up. The zombies did one. The zombies took over, and Verdansk got hit with a nuke, and that map no longer exists. At the time of recording, if you go to play the game, the only option you have open to you is the Rebirth Island map, which was the kind of half-sized supplementary map at nighttime, which is kind of cool, which apparently contains clues as to what is going on, but so far I found it very hard to drop into that map and look around for clues without getting shot in the head by other players, being as it is a battle royale game.
Funny that.
Can you go into the game and look at and watch any like Verdansk get blown up still, or is it like done and dusted?
It's done and dusted.
So watch it on YouTube or something, dude.
It's not quite like Fortnite. Yeah, it's not quite like Fortnite where it's like if you're not here at this time, then that's when stuff happens. It was more like there was I think they actually extended it to 3-hour period last night where they updated the playlist, and it was just the only event you could do was the zombie thing, and it had a cutscene at the end of it. But man, I just want to say they might pull something crazy out the bag tonight, and obviously there's going to be a new map tonight, which is cool in and of itself. But Call of Duty, I don't know whether it's the engine, I don't know if it's time, money, resources, like Call of Duty can't do live events. It's as simple as that.
Well, you imagine every time they tried to
down, didn't they?
Their servers did fall down, but their live event is updating the playlist to include a mode that is the zombies mode from the Halloween event, but at daytime this time. Stay alive, and then there's a countdown at the end, and then the match ends with an explosion. Go figure, Call of Duty match ending with a nuke.
Yeah.
And then you see a cutscene. That's what they call a live event. Like Fortnite, Epic Games must have tuned into that, must have been watching Nick Merck's live stream and thought, what the fuck are these clowns doing? Like, they must have been laughing all the way to the back. I just think at this point, again, I don't know if it's Raven, I don't know if it's the engine, I don't know if it's the infrastructure they built around Warzone, or if it really is just a time and money question. But Call of Duty can't do live events. It's been over a year, the map hadn't changed. In my opinion, they hadn't successfully pulled off a single live event. This was the single biggest thing that they had on their the calendar for God knows how long, to the point where there were server queues to try and even just play the game last night. Dude, it took 20 minutes to get in.
You can't say it might have been a time or a money thing. They're swimming in money, and they had known for a very long time.
But
their roadmap, come on, that they would have had a roadmap.
But then again,
X, Y, Z, and it leads up to this.
Warzone often shows a lot of the telltale signs of a game that doesn't have the support it needs, and it can't be a money issue. Like, it's like
It can't be.
You're right,
There's
because
so many players.
But
just because they've got the money, like, is it? Maybe they're not willing to spend it though. Like maybe they're, they've got a profit margin and they're like, we're not spending any more money on this shit.
I don't want to play backseat game developer, but you know how we always joke about, hey, like, they reduced the damage that the M4 does at range by 10%, so download the new 30 gigabyte update now.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's a part of me that wonders if Warzone was built in such a way where they just can't do what Fortnite does.
I think that's probably what it is. You could imagine that if they tried to do like a live music video kind of Fortnite style, that there'd be a 200 gig update just to watch it.
Yeah.
You'd have to go a 200 gig update to undo it again.
I don't necessarily agree with that though, right? Because it's not their first rodeo. They had Blackout. You learn from Blackout, and you see that even when Blackout was going, Fortnite was starting with all of their like metaverse, whatever fucking bullshit they're calling it.
But I don't think anyone had sort of pushed the boundaries with regard to live events in the way that Epic did when they were making Warzone. I think maybe what we're saying is Warzone doesn't do what Fortnite does, but that's because it's not that. And you know when you're shown something much better and something that works in a much more slick way, and you're like, well, why doesn't this do that? I think they need to rebuild the game like with that sort of functionality as something that's possible. Maybe it just doesn't work for them.
You know, the other telltale sign for me that I think they struggle to integrate new ideas and mechanics and things in the same way Fortnite does is there was a time when I used to go, well, I'd say there was a time, kind of still in that time, bit too much KFC. And KFC used to have a thing, and it has kind of stopped during
hold
lockdown.
on, just very quickly. KFC now has a bucket of KFC pops.
Well, you actually touched on my point.
Popcorn chicken.
KFC does a thing where every month they rotate in and out new special things.
Yeah.
And at this point, I spent maybe like a couple of years, again, going to KFC slightly too frequency, and you start to notice something.
Yeah.
That every special thing is made out of stuff they already had.
Yeah.
To the point where there'd be a new special burger, and you'd go, and there would be points where I'd pick it up and I'd be like, oh, this is interesting. I know that this makes me sound like a madman, but roll with me here. I'd go, oh, that's interesting. They've taken the bun from this thing, they've put the cheese on it, which it doesn't usually have. They've taken like one of the things from that burger and they've mixed it with the sauce from that wrap. And I realized that the majority of the quote-unquote specials that KFC were doing were made up of things they already had in-house. Because some KFC headquarters didn't want to be like, oh, we're going to have a new burger for a month. Let's send this specific type of chicken to every KFC restaurant in the country for the next full... And I wonder if Warzone's got a bit of that. There's got to be a reason. Everything's a fucking nuke. Everything's a fucking zombie. And the gameplay never changes.
Right. They've got a set thing of parts. And
I genuinely...
just put them together
look at the fucking Galactus event that Fortnite did like a couple of months ago, whatever it was, where you're fucking flying through the air. And like, I genuinely think Warzone can't do that at this stage. And I know we don't have a huge BR audience, so I'm not going to bang on about it for too long. But at the halfway point, I'm disappointed, is what I'll say.
Although I do love the way you're saying like KFC do a thing. Like, isn't that every fast food place? Like McDonald's' whole list of burgers is
no, because McDonald's when they do their burgers from around the world, they are very different.
That's the point I was going to make. Like when they do their like Jamaican shit or their American shit, like they genuinely get.
But
like,
it's not. It's just a different sauce.
No,
it's
like Jonesy, like
bun, burger, lettuce.
Some of them's like there's some chorizo on top.
Yeah, like the other toppings, the cheeses. No, but genuinely, you laugh.
So sauce and chorizo.
They've made burgers. McDonald's have made burgers. This is getting silly now. With types of cheese for temporary things, where it's like they won't have this. This cheese isn't on anything else.
Yeah.
This isn't the cheese. So it's like they're making the effort to send out a new type of cheese. Okay.
Maybe Burger King are worse then. I know that if you look at a menu of like fast food stuff, it often does look like here's 3 buns, but there's 2 burgers and there's a cheese in the middle and a barbecue sauce on top.
Yeah,
here's 2 buns with the burger with the cheese and a lettuce on top.
They were like, just change the order of things.
But look at the thing that you guys got excited about when I mentioned KFC. They took a thing they alrety had and put it in a bigger bucket.
A bucket. A bucket of pops. Do you know how excited I am? It's like,
do you know what they do?
Like 10 pounds or 10 pounds. I'm going to get it.
They did that last year with gravy and everyone went mental. They made a bigger pot of gravy and the country lost its mind. It's still gravy.
We are morons. We are absolute morons.
Yeah, buddy.
Just order 3 pots of gravy and you've got their new special.
Although I've got to push back on Chris saying a bucket of pops would be £8. Bullshit. It's going to be 18, if anything. I've bought the little popcorn.
It was either
chicken
8
thing
or 10.
before,
I'll tell you right now.
and it's
KFC,
so expensive. It's
Jonesy is kind of right though. Popcorn chicken is like a weirdly expensive little thing. Like you think it's going to be like a little side, like a little like. Just the cherry on top of your KFC order. And you're like, hang on a second, a large one of these is how much?
Well, they do like, because if you buy the wings, if you add wings to your order, it's like 99p, which is amazing. 2 wings, 99p, and they're so juicy and crispy, it's great. You're like, I might do this. I might do the same thing with pops, and it's like a small pops thing is like $3.50. You're like, you fucking kidding me?
The bucket of pops gets you 80 pieces of popcorn chicken.
Sure.
Based on averages.
Yeah.
Oh, because they can't be bothered to count.
Yeah, well, of course.
It's probably 80.
Where's the pricing? I'm
£80.
sure
you might have to order
£1 per piece.
Oh, even better, fellas. £6.
6.
Wait,
that's okay. Fair enough. That's
ridiculous. Like in terms of that's economies of scale taken to a degree that I've never quite seen before. Because a large popcorn chicken's probably £5.
Yeah, it's true.
If not more.
I used to. Work
I think it's a special, right? There's like.
I used to work at Cineworld. Right, I worked at the first Cineworld that opened in the UK, and there was a thing they had where they would do deals where you had like you can buy 2 things of popcorn and 2 Cokes, and it would be, let's say it was like £8, right? If you bought it together, I would have and I genuinely, this is what I used to do. I used to do down selling. People would come in and go, "I'll have 2 small popcorns and 2 Cokes, split 2 small Cokes." I'm like, you could get that, but it's going to cost you £15. Get this thing, cost you £8, and you get bigger popcorn, bigger Coke. I had one person once, so I'm saving people money, right? I'm saving people.
But that's
money.
what they'll come back to you, Jonesy.
I had a guy one time who said to me, "Oh, I don't think I can eat that much." I was like, "Just don't eat it then. Just stop eating when you're fine. save your £5 and you're happy."
Yeah,
fellas, hold on. Klaxon alert, okay? KFC popcorn chicken bucket $5.99 available until the 2nd of May. Go get it.
How long?
Wait, 10 days. Have we got the? Is that the new case that Judge Jonesy is going to preside over? Is whether or not the KFC popcorn bucket is excessive?
Maybe.
Shall we buy one? So I buy one for the next thing and we'll have a chat.
Hold on, we need to let the viewership and the listenership know what we did the one time with the 100 chicken nugget challenge.
Oh, bro, not one time. You guys did it twice, right?
Yeah, we did it twice. Fucking hell. One of the worst experiences of my life, but at the same time, one of the better ones.
Well, it's because you're working in a cool office when the entire company can take half a day off to watch a small group of silly men try and eat 100 chicken nuggets. So I did it once. I didn't do it the second time. But when we did it the second time, which I think you guys were both a part of, right? You were like sat in the middle of the biggest like room in our entire office, and basically the entire company,
like an atrium.
Yeah,
it was like a coliseum, right? Because everyone was stood above us.
You were on a lower area, and we were standing almost on the balcony, like looking over you, like fucking
like
60 people.
On.
Yeah,
and it was
literally.
but it was planned for like 100 minutes, right? Because wasn't it 100 nuggets in 100?
No, that
minutes?
was the first. The first one was 100 nuggets in 100 minutes, and then the second one we got rid of the time limit because we realized that's absolutely
just
fucking
eat 100
insane.
nuggets.
Yeah.
But so that was so then you're looking at right, it's an hour and a half gone immediately. You're just planning to not work for an hour and a half.
Yeah. And the thing is, when we called up McDonald's and ordered, they didn't believe us.
No.
Yeah. Someone had to go in there.
I think we had to go there and tell them like, no, it's real. We're paying for it and we'll come pick it up.
I must admit, I thought too much of myself going into the second one. Because the first time, do you remember we actually called it off, didn't we? Because we
truced it at 60.
60 was the cutoff.
And I'd eaten 60 in 30 minutes the first time. And I was like, I will smash 100 inside, like, no worries. But the second time round, I think I got to 80 and I was like, I couldn't swallow.
Yeah.
I genuinely couldn't swallow.
The person who got to 100, if I remember rightly, threw up.
Yeah.
And kind of just got disqualified for that reason.
Yeah, literally.
Oh, did he get disqualified?
Yeah, I think it was like...
in most
I think it was a minute after he finished eating that last one, he just turned around and vomited in a pot plant.
In most like professional eating things, if you throw up, you're disqualified, I think, is a rule, generally.
I remember
I couldn't do it. It was so tough.
So I had my box in front of me, and they had given us like little cups of water, right, to kind of like help wash it down. But whoever gave me my cup of water, the seal on the bottom of the like plastic paper cup,
I remember this. Yeah,
it was worn through, so all the water seeped into my box, my 2 of my boxes of nuggets.
Because all your chicken got wet, didn't it?
All my chicken got wet.
Yeah.
But apparently that's what some professional eaters do. Have you seen the hot dog competitions
They dunk-
where they're dunking it in the water to make it soggy?
And then
so
they eat it like a duck, where they just kind of go like, and just kind of fucking gullet it
Sorry,
down.
can do that again?
No, not going to point at that track.
Combine it with the one that Jonesy gave us last week, and pretty soon we've got.
Well, I was proud of myself. I was like 42. You know what? I reckon I could have done 50, but I knew that I would have been like feeling absolutely disgusted.
Oh, did you stop at 42 then?
Yeah, I was going to stop at 40, and I was like, well, you know, 42 is a nice number.
I think,
and I reckon
80.
50 is like probably my limit. But if I'd done that, I would have been. I was already feeling wretched, dude, and I was like 50 would just send me over them like too much.
Yeah, like 50 is a hell of a lot. Like I think I either ate 70. I think I ate 78 or 80. Like I was no way. I think I had over a box left to 100, and I was like, I cannot swallow. My throat is like sawdust. I feel awful. Like I'm so not.
The other thing is I don't eat sauces, so I was especially tricky.
You're going
for me.
in dry.
Yeah. So
That's
what
brutal.
I would do is I'd have like 3 normal nuggets, and then I'd have one of those soggy nuggets just to kind of like lubricate.
Do you know what the real bummer I found about that whole thing was, though, is that you realise how little McDonald's food actually does to kind of, you know, satisfy your hunger or whatever, when a couple of hours later you're ready to eat again.
Yeah.
It's like, hang on a second, I ate 60 chicken nuggets and now I'm having dinner.
Yeah.
It was kind of mad.
I don't know if you guys remember, but I didn't quite get in trouble, but some people were like, what the fuck are you doing? When I that night we did the nuggets, so I ate 60 chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
We went out and had a night out, and then I got a McDonald's on the way home. So I had 60 chicken nuggets for lunch, and then had a regular like Big Mac meal on the way home. After we spent the night playing ping pong. Do you remember that night?
Ping pong?
Yes.
Yeah. It was the old head of post production, Chris. It was when he was leaving.
Yeah. It was a place called Pong.
That's right. They still email me to this day. One of those
Even
things.
better. Even better. We were eating pizza slices at Pong.
We were. I remember that. Good times. Good times.
That's mental.
Oh, I just this popped up while we were chatting. Apparently, there's someone was playing Call of Duty earlier today, and he set up a private match, and it allowed him to use the new map.
Oh, nice.
Oh, interesting.
And so he's played through the new map on a private match.
I mean, a lot of the stuff was kind of already, like, my understanding is that even though it's 80s Verdansk, there are going to, I think, 6 new POIs, like, that are, in theory, radically different to what was there before.
Yeah.
It's a lot of what we spoke about already.
Yeah,
So
last
like,
week with the dam and everything.
Yeah.
There's aqueducts, like Jamie, I think, had said, instead of a dam, and there's salt mine instead of quarry.
I think there's a map as well called Summit that was from the old Black Ops games that I think is there in some shape or form. I don't know if it's going to be identical, but yeah, that's
I'll tell you what, I'm
me.
glad I uninstalled Warzone.
I will play it tonight when everything kicks off. I'll jump in. It's Thursday. The guys I often play with, they play on a Thursday. That's the Warzone night. So I'll probably hop in and have a little blast, just see what it's like. I have done the update already because I was like, do you know what? I'm not sitting around.
It's going to take enough time. Yeah,
fingers. It's finished already. I turned it on. And,
it was 23 gigs. 23 gigs.
That's not bad. Not bad.
For Call of Duty, that is incredible.
Yeah, but you know what that is? That's a 20 gig update to get rid of the map, and as soon as they bring the map back, it's going to be another 160 gig update.
That's so true.
Can you imagine? Yeah, it's a 20 gig update to remove the biggest portion of the game. Amazing. Well, I'll tell you that I've been playing some Apex, fellas, seeing as we're talking on the Battle Royales, and Apex had a bit of a tease, so I was streaming it over at twitch.tv/hot panic. But they've kind of revealed what's going to be happening in the next season. They revealed the next kind of, I don't know what they call them, heroes or
legends.
Legends, yeah.
Legends
right,
might be a word that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's quite interesting. This is kind of like quite Titanfall heavy on the lore. So they released like a little video, like an animated video showing off the new legend, which is the daughter of Viper from the Titanfall 2 campaign. Viper was the boss fight on top of the frigates that were flying through the space.
Through
the kind of corridor, delivering the, I can't remember what's called, that time travel mass thing. But yeah, so she's the daughter. She's entered the Apex games in the animated thing. Kind of showed off Viper's mech. Blisk was in there as well, kind of, with his gruff Afrikaans voice. It was all very cool. And then I believe they showed off that there's going to be an arena, which is going to be like a 3v3 PvP kind of thing.
Oh,
so
interesting.
I love it when the special modes of Battle Royale are just like normal multiplayer.
Right. Especially for a Battle Royale that sort of exists in the same universe as a game that already had very good multiplayer and clearly with the new Legend continues to pull from it.
Yeah.
I wonder...
Oh, it gets better than that though, because in the video for the arena, I believe it's Ash who was the very first Titan boss that you fight in Titanfall 2. The one with the kind of no, not the very first one. She was the one in the assembly factory.
Right, yeah.
With the
shooting
kind
you
of
across
porcelain mask.
Right.
Yeah, the name rings a bell.
Yeah,
and I remember the assembly factory very well.
Yeah, so it's all looking pretty good for Apex.
Nice.
I had a shocker though. Some days you just play a game and your mind is just not in it. Jamie, you were watching me, and I was just having a mare of a time, wasn't I?
Well, it's funny, like
that's a yes.
Yeah, no. Well, what Jamie really wants to say is, well, you always have a mare of a time. So it's not much
that's
of a
not what I
difference.
want. That's not what I wanted to say. I mean, I'm as out of the loop as you were before you came back to it, Chris, with Apex. So I'm not in a position to critique. Obviously there's stuff that you notice, but
yeah.
Can I sum up the whole thing for you in one sentence? I was watching one game quite closely, and there were a few things that left me a little bit distressed, but I didn't say anything. I didn't type anything in chat, and you won.
Well, there we go.
So you won the match.
Nice.
So
Yeah. So what do you know, Jamie? Go fuck yourself.
Well, quite the point I'm making. What do I know? And that's why I kept my lips sealed.
Yeah, but it was literally. I mean, you guys, I'm sure you've experienced it as well. Like some days, just the game does not agree with you, and you do not agree with the game. And no matter how hard you try, you're not thinking in that way. And that was me when I was playing that Apex. It's just an absolute fucking shocker. But yeah, I did get a win. I got a top 3 and I got a top 2. So how bad could it really have been?
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
Yeah, but fellas, I also started my new series on my Twitch channel because I've gone to Dark Souls Remastered.
Yes, the choice of the people.
The choice of the people.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. I mean, we've been talking about it a long time. I was planting those seeds, hoping that they'd say yes, but it's an easy kind of thing, right? Like people want to see me suffer, so they enjoyed the Sekiro stuff. Why not go for the Dark Souls stuff? Now, I'd never played Dark Souls games except for that one time that we recorded a Dark Souls 2 Let's Play where we had oven gloves, but it never got made out because that footage got corrupted, which still kills me to this day because it was so much fun.
I remember that shoot well, yeah.
Yeah, do you remember the alarm that was going off and then...
Yes.
Do you remember it, Jonesy? I bet you doesn't remember.
I don't remember.
There was an alarm going off and it's going like... Deet, 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 and we said it sounded like the Rasmus, and that's why we named our character Rasmus Hoare. Like 69XXX.
Okay, yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, it's quality. But lost to the ether, unfortunately. But yeah, so kind of trying to take it a little bit seriously. I wasn't taking it... Actually, no. I wasn't taking it seriously in the first one because I was like, you know what? I've got to get into the flow of how this game goes and the mechanics, and it's very slow. It's very kind of considered. You've got your animation locks that you've got to get used to. And I was like, hey, if I die, I die. Like, let me get used to it. I'm not going to rage about it. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I'm going to continue that.
In fact, if you don't mind me saying, Chris, I feel like the closest you came to raging in that live stream was when you got stuck on the character creation screen.
Yeah, I didn't know how to exit like the portion where you it's it's because I'm thinking too much like a PC gamer. All right, I was stuck in the portion where you like changing around with the size of your nose and shit like that, and I was like, you know what, I don't have time for this. Let's just go with what we initially had. And I was trying to go back however I could, and nothing on screen said go back. There's no back button. And I was just like, what am I going to fucking do? What am I going to do? And it kind of tripped me up. And then I realized, oh no, hold on. It's a console game and I'm holding a PS4 controller. I just press circle. It takes me back. I was like,
Hey, at least you figured it out. At least you didn't just like rage quit and shut the whole thing off.
Yeah. The closest thing I came to raging was the very last boss that I got to on that stream because I knew how to beat him. I did it all. I got him down to about, he was maybe 2% of his health. And then I was like, I'm just going to wail on him instead of trying to be like successful. Never do that in a Dark Souls game. And he killed me when I should have just killed him, and it would have been the perfect end to the stream. But instead, I just shouted into the air. So, if I had a gun, I would have been like, da, 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 da.
Yeah. What movie is that? When he can't shoot. Point Break. He can't shoot Patrick Swayze, so he just
Anyway. But yeah, that's what I've been up to. Jonesy, let's hear it.
I played
round
a
it
new
out
game.
for us.
I played a new game that I got on. I think it's still on early access, which is something I'd seen before. And I was
Hold on. Is this Star Citizen?
No. Although I do have that on early access. No, it's Satisfactory.
Oh, quality,
shit.
Yeah.
Okay, wow, yeah. That seems like a Jonesy game. I can see that.
100%.
It was. Do you know what? And it is a really cool game. Like, I love that kind of. It's in some ways it's quite No Man's Sky. Is like the look and feel of it, in the sense of how, like, it's trying to be like sci-fi and that. But for people that don't know, it's effectively a game. I'm trying to think of another game with the humor level, but I can't think of one off the bat. It's sort of typical for games at the moment where it's like you work for a corporation who are like, oh, you're a person who's got to set up a factory for us, and it's very tongue-in-cheek and lighthearted, and you're an asset. But with this, it's one of those sort of like resource-based games where you go around, you farm for resources, you get better gear, you can make better equipment, but it has a really good way of ramping stuff up very quickly. And the idea is that you can build these insane factories. So you start off with nothing. You're on a desolate or like lush planet, or you're like, it can be in sort of a few different environments. You gather resources and you build a small factory, and then that means you can get the resources to build a bigger factory, and then that means you can get the resources to build an Uber factory with like conveyor belts and machines and all sorts of crazy shit. But they had an update, and I saw it. I think I added it to my wish list on Steam a while ago, and then actually bought it the other day. I think it was on a bit of a sale, so I thought I'd jump in. And it's one of those where I downloaded it and thought, I'm just going to take a look and see what it looks like. And like 3-4 hours later, I was still there going, make more cement, make more metal plates. I need to build more conveyor belts.
You're right though, Jamie. That is such a Jonesy game.
Yeah, like
cool.
I think because I remember when Factorio came out, that always looked a little bit too. I'm not going to say intense, but there was something about its presentation that wasn't quite as clean or as welcoming as Satisfactory.
Yeah,
and I'm watching a Satisfactory playthrough. God, it could have been like a year or two ago now, to be fair. Once you start getting into that full-on, like, everything's automated and conveyor belts are working, I was like, Jonesy's going to love the efficiency of creating those systems, I think.
It's cool, and because I think it... I think the thing that often games get wrong, and especially indie games, is the loop, and is how much time you expect people to put into a game, and to get to the point where they start to get get rewarded. I always think of Ark as one of those games where it takes far too long to actually sort of reap the benefits of playing. Whenever I've played that game, I end up with wearing, by the end of the time, or by when I die and I quit, I'm wearing like a ratty pair of pants. I've pooed myself 5 times and I've eaten some berries. And then I see footage of people online riding dinosaurs, shooting people, like enslaving people. I'm like, this is not the same game I've played. But in Satisfactory, in a few hours, I was able to go from pretty basic, I didn't have anything, to, I've got conveyor belts and I can produce stuff, and I'm launching things into the launching pods to go and get me more resources from the atmosphere and stuff like this, which is, it was cool, man. It was a cool game. So it's definitely something I'm going to try and play a bit more of.
Nice. Is that it?
Good shit.
That is it. That is it. Sorry, that is it. That's the end. No, that is it. That is it.
Well, that's fair enough, guys, because unfortunately, I think we need to start wrapping things up.
I wonder
no one going to interject there.
That's good.
Yeah, so we said fuck the news, where we had a bit of a rundown what we did, a little bit of deviations, what have you. We kind of kept it a bit PG, but if you pledge $5 to our Patreon, and if that's something that you want to do, and you want to get into the whole full frontal podcast exclusive, then it's a little teaser, it's a little taster. We do go a lot rougher, a lot rawer, talking about fucking, I don't know, porn and sticking lobsters in places that they shouldn't be stuck in, quite frankly. But yeah, there you go. Let us know what you thought about this episode in the comments down below, because, it's a little bit more streamlined, but I hope you appreciated it nonetheless. Fellas, we need a code word. Also, by the way, it's a 1 hour podcast.
What if our code word was fuck 1 hour podcasts?
Yeah, people are going to hate this. I when we said about doing it this short, people are going to be pissed off. I'm just going to put that out there now.
Yeah. Well, thanks.
I'll tell you what we should have. We shouldn't have a code word. We shouldn't have a code word. We should have people say whether they should vote by saying 1 hour or 2 hour. So say 1 hour if you like 1 hour podcast and 2 hour if you like 2 hour podcasts, and we'll see how many people.
Well, they don't know, because you're gonna have dudes saying like fucking 8 hour podcast, because that's what they want, but that's not.
No, they can't vote 8 hours. They have to vote 2. It's only about 2 or 1.
So
you can't put 8.
I think it would be a lot more useful if they would like more of the freestyle, less structured kind of thing that we did today, rather than what we usually do, of saying like boom, 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 boom. That's what we do. I mean, it was a bit structured. We were like, now we're going to do the comments, and now we're going to talk about games we played. But then we did kind of like, interweave shit.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Also, let me know if we have a PO box. Will you send me blue cheese dressing and stuff for crispy corn?
I don't think you want blue cheese dressing out of a PO box.
That's actually a really good point.
That's the worst thing you could ever get. Like we said,
because it might not be blue cheese. It might be something else.
Fucking hell, yeah, that as well. I just think it's going to go off.
Just some fucking perverted fan out there who's like, I'm going to jizz all over this blue cheese and send it to Joe.
Oh,
I don't want it.
We're not doing a PO
it's
box.
just it's just curdled by the time Jonesy opens it, but he's like,
smells like blue cheese.
Maybe you just need to stir it a bit, loosen it up.
Jesus Christ.
No. Okay.
Wow.
Well, we've gone off that idea.
No PO box. Thank you very much.
No PO box.
All right, and with that,
I'll just order some from Amazon.
Did you actually?
No, I said I'll order some from Amazon.
Oh, I thought you said I thought you were on Amazon, like in another window, like.
No, I am. I do have it open still.
Jonesy's got one of those Amazon Dash buttons that just every time he presses it, just orders blue cheese.
Yeah, remember when those were a thing?
Yeah, I think they still are a thing.
Give me blue cheese.
No, they never work. It was actually a trick question, Chris. So
right,
that was a prank. You've officially been bunked.
Wow. Well, thanks. And with that, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next week for hopefully something that's a little bit longer than an hour. See ya.
Bye.